So, what if everything you thought you were, your identity, all your memories, that solid sense of you, was just silenced? This is the story of a neuroscientist who went through exactly that. And what she found on the inside of her own mind, well, it might just change how we all think about what it means to be human. And really, that question gets right to the heart of it. She wasn't just a patient having a medical emergency. She was a scientist with a front row seat, watching her own mind deconstruct and then rebuild itself. It was a completely unprecedented opportunity, and what she brought back was revolutionary. To really get the weight of her observations, we have to first understand who was doing the observing. Who was Jill Bolte Taylor before the event that would completely redefine her life and work? Okay, so picture this, a brilliant neuroanatomist at Harvard, literally mapping the brain's tiniest, most complex pathways. Her work wasn't just academic, it was deeply personal. She was trying to understand the biology behind her brother's schizophrenia. She was chasing one of the biggest questions there is. How does this physical thing, our brain, create our reality? And boy, was she about to get an answer. Just not in any way she could have possibly imagined. So here's the basic breakdown of the two very different personalities inside our heads. The left hemisphere, that's our inner narrator. It's logical, it's linear, it's totally obsessed with the past and the future. It's the part that says I am, defining us as this single, separate person. But the right hemisphere, it's like a silent artist. It's intuitive, it's completely in the present, and it experiences the world as this big, connected flow of energy. It's the feeling of we are. And then, on a totally normal day, December 10th, 1996, the unthinkable happened. She was just 37 years old, and a blood vessel in the left hemisphere of her brain, it just exploded. And this is what makes her story so absolutely extraordinary. As her left brain, the part that makes language, understands time, and defines the self, as it went dark, she was still there. Her right brain's consciousness was fully online, this silent, aware observer just witnessing the complete dissolving of her ego. So this wasn't just a medical crisis. It was something else, what you might call an epistemic rupture. It's an event so profound, it just shatters your whole understanding of reality. It didn't just change her brain. It completely changed her idea of what a self even is. We can read about an idea, we can understand a theory on paper, but that knowledge is abstract, right? It's not the same as actually experiencing it. But a rupture, this sudden, violent break from everything you know, it forces you to see things differently. It takes that abstract idea and makes it terrifyingly, immediately real. And suddenly, you need to understand it. And this is where my own story comes into this. I also had a stroke. And while our experiences were very different, my own rupture is what made Jill Bolte Taylor's work suddenly legible. It wasn't theory anymore. It was a map for a landscape I was suddenly forced to navigate. What her journey provided was this powerful living proof of a really radical idea, that the me we feel like every day, the personality we're so sure is solid, it's not. It's not set in stone. It's actually fluid. It's negotiable. So out of this unbelievable experience, Taylor built a new framework for understanding all these different parts of ourselves. She calls it whole brain living. Think of it like this. You have a team of 4 specialists in your head. Character 1 is your analytical side, the planner, the detail-oriented part. Character 2 is your emotional past. It holds all your personal stories, your old hurts. Character 3 is just pure present moment feeling, sensory, in the now. And character 4, that's the big picture part, expansive, compassionate, connected to everything. Now here's the really important part. You aren't any single one of these characters. They're all necessary functions. The point isn't to get rid of any of them. The goal is just to become aware that they're there, so you can consciously choose which one to step into in any given moment. And once you grasp that, it leads to something that's way beyond just getting better. It points toward a whole new kind of personal agency. See, her recovery wasn't about rebuilding the exact same house that had burned down. It was about consciously designing a new one. As her left brain abilities slowly came back, she realized she didn't have to bring back the old anxieties or the old baggage. She could choose a new internal architecture. And that, right there, that's neuroplasticity in action. Our brains aren't fixed. They're more like gardens. And with awareness, with conscious attention, we can actually participate in shaping them. We can decide what to nurture and what to let go of. This is so different from what we usually call self-improvement, which often feels like this constant battle against some flawed part of ourselves. What Taylor is talking about is agency. It's not a struggle. It's more like learning to choose which part of you gets to lead the dance. So this new way of seeing ourselves, it doesn't really give us all the answers. Actually, it does the opposite. It opens up some really fascinating new questions. For me, this realization that our thoughts aren't who we are, but are actually a process we can engage with, that was the seed for a practice I started developing called dreaming thought into being. It was born right at that intersection of rupture and this newfound understanding. But it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Okay, if we have these four different characters, how in the world do they coordinate? How do you get them to work together as a team instead of pulling in four different directions? And then there's an even deeper question. What about the you that's aware of all this? Is that awareness just a fifth character in the play? Or is it something else? Maybe the stage itself, the quiet space where this whole drama unfolds. And that really brings us to the most important question of all. How do we take these huge lessons learned at the very edge of consciousness and actually practice them in our daily lives? How do we become the conscious architects of our own inner world, moment by moment? Well, that is the journey we are going to start to explore next time.